up a little bit. We'll just start, hop his feet out, swing the arms up. Okay. Let's start with just some wrist stretch. So let's start just kind of moving through like a prayer position with your wrists. It's nice and chilly in my house right now, so feels good to start moving. Just try to keep your palms together if you can. Now let's take and bend our wrist in towards our elbow. Feel that stretch right up through the top of your wrist. And now let's do the other side. So we're not doing a ton with our wrists today. We're gonna do a little bit in the strength, but for the most part, our wrists won't get too sore, so we won't stretch them quite as long as we would if today was like a heavy push-up day. Good. Awesome. Let's hop down to the ground. I have a mat. Let's start with the pigeon. So just bend one leg through, shooting the other one straight out behind us, and then leaning forward over this leg. My hips are feeling nice and tight going into today, so. Whew. And let's switch sides. Bring the other leg up and through. And from here, let's take and put one knee on the ground, stepping the other foot forward into a lunging position, and then driving our hip through. And then once we're in that position, then we're gonna squeeze our glute, and we should really feel a stretch through the front of this leg. And one thing, make sure that our knees aren't coming like over our toe. Step your foot out a little further to keep your shin nice and vertical. And that's the same position we're gonna do later when we do some lunges. And let's switch and do the other side. Make sure to squeeze that glute once you're in that position. Now let's go back, sitting right down on that foot and leaning our head towards our knee. Feel that right through your hamstring. There's like a fuzzy floating thing floating around my room because of the fan right now. And then let's switch sides. We'll go bend behind, straighten the other one out in front, and we come down. I'm feeling this way more on my left side than I did on my right side. Ooh. From here, let's take and keep that foot up in the front. And we're gonna try to drop down to our elbows, keeping this foot out on the outside. You should feel that in both the back leg and the hip flexor on the front, and I feel this kind of the adductor and hip flexor of the front leg. And let's switch into the other side. So steps up nice and wide, and we drop the elbows down. Okay. Awesome. Probably good for our mobility today. Now we'll go into that more normal warm up. So we're gonna do 3 rounds of 10 up downs, which is that burpee without the push up at the bottom. 10 air squats are just a normal body weight squat, and then 10 tuck ups. So show those 3 movements first. So camera back a bit. Okay. So the up down is just hands go down, feet go back, feet come up and stand. We're gonna do 10 of those, and then we'll do 10 air squats. So feet about shoulder width and toes pointed slightly out, driving the knees out, getting the butt down below the knees, and then standing again. And then tuck ups, we're laying on our back in that nice hollow position. And then we're gonna sit up, pulling our legs in and tapping our heels, and then going again. So we'll just do 10 of each of those, starting with those up downs. We're gonna do 3 rounds of that. So 10 up downs to start. Oop, I forgot about the no push up part. When you do 10 of those, then we'll do 10 air squats. When you finish those, we'll go to those tuck ups. When we finish that, we'll just repeat that 2 more times. So 10 up downs to start. When we finish those, we go to our air squats. When we finish this one, we'll go to our 10 tuck-ups. And when we finish those, we'll just repeat one more time. 10 up downs, 10 air squats, and 10 tuck-ups. Finish our up downs, we go to our squats. And then 10 more tuck-ups. Awesome. Call that good for a warm-up for today. Starting to get a little bit of sweat. Okay. For our strength, we have 3 rounds of 8 pike push-ups and then a 30-second seated L-sit followed by a 30-second bicycle. And by bicycle, I mean like the core movement, but we'll go through all those together. So the pike push-up, we're gonna be down on the ground, starting in a push-up position, but our butt's gonna be really high in the air and slightly back in this kind of pike gymnastics position. From here, we're gonna bend the elbows in, lowering the head down, and tapping it to the ground. So we'll do 8 of those. Then we'll roll over and go to a seated position with our hands slightly in front of us. If you need to, you can lean back more or more, depending. But what we want to do is get our feet up and off the ground for 30 seconds. So if you can, most ideally, we'd be like way out here in the front. I can't barely get my feet off the ground here. For me, when I'm here, I can get them up. If you need to, we can lean back and go from here. But you just don't want the hands to go behind us. And then for the bicycle, we'll be here and just elbows to knees, extending the opposite. So we'll do 8 of the push-ups and then 30 seconds of each of the other movements. I'm just gonna move my iPad down here so I can see the time for us. So let's start with those 8 pike push-ups. So in that nice high position, lowering down 8 times. And make sure we're locking those elbows out at the top. We shouldn't do this like kind of half bend and not going again. Good. Once we've done 8 of those, we'll roll over. And I'm gonna start my L sit in 5 seconds. So if you're on my time, we can go in 3, 2, 1. And it's okay to top down if you need to. And down. Whew. That was hard. The hip flexors were working there. We'll do the bicycle in 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. 30 seconds of bicycle. And rest. So now we'll take a minute to a minute and a half off, and then we'll go again. And with the pike, if that was really easy for you, I want you to move your hands and your feet closer together. If it was really hard, we can go a little bit further out. I would definitely grab water in between. Eventually that pike push-up would turn into like a handstand push-up, so completely inverted against the wall and pressing from there. But to build that base strength first in the shoulders, we start in that pike position and slowly work our hands towards our feet. It's been about a minute. I'm gonna take another 30 seconds off before I start. My biggest pet peeves during strength is that people never rest. Especially at my gym, people just like to move straight from set to set, but in the strength, we really want to not go into that cardio stimulus. So take it nice and slow and go from there. Okay, I'm gonna start mine again with 8 more pike push-ups. And then we're gonna roll over once we finish those. I'm gonna go in 5 seconds for that seated L sit. If last time was too hard, we're gonna lean back a little bit more. And let's go up. and rest. Whew. We're gonna go again for the bicycle in 3, 2, 1. And rest. Whew. Take about a minute and a half off again. The core is really starting to feel it between the L-sit and those bicycles. If you need to, you can stretch out those hip flexors a little bit, going straight forward, or you could do that lunging stretch that we did in the beginning. I'm gonna do that one more time. Okay, I'm starting again now. 8 more push-ups. Once you finish that, let's roll over. We're gonna go in about 5 seconds for the last L-sit. 3, 2, 1. And down. Whew. Okay, we have one more bicycle. We're going 5, 3, 2, 1. And rest. Okay. Whew. So I'm gonna grab water real quickly and then we'll go through what the Metcon is. Okay, so if our abs aren't already pretty lit up, we're just gonna really make sure we get them. So we're gonna do 3 rounds of a 3 kind of round workout. So it's almost like 9 rounds. But so what we're gonna do is we're gonna do 20 of each movement, then 15, then 10 of each movement. And we'll repeat that 3 times. So we're gonna go 20 lunges, 20 sit-ups, 15, 15, 10, 10. And then we're gonna rest for a minute and a half and then repeat. So you're probably gonna want a timer for this. So as soon as you finish your 10 sit-ups, then rest a minute and a half, and then you'll go back and start from 20 again with your lunges. And like I said, we're gonna do that 3 times. So for your lunge, back the camera up a little bit so I can sure you guys can see it. I prefer, okay, I'm gonna move it up a bit so you can see my head. So I prefer a step back lunge just personally, where you step back and tap the knee on the ground. But it's totally fine to step forward and tap your knee on the ground and drive backwards. My knees don't like that quite as much, but that's just a personal thing. And if you need to, if lunges just aren't a movement that you can do, we can just replace that with the air squats that we did in the warm up. So we're gonna do 20 of those total. So not each side. So we'll count this as like 1, 2, 3. And then once we get through 20 of those, we can go to our sit-ups. And for me, I like the kind of CrossFit butterfly sit-up where we wanna lean back, tap the ground behind our head, crunching all the way forward until our hands are in front of our feet. So one more time through the format for that. We're gonna do 3 rounds of a 20, 15, 10 of lunges and sit-ups. And I'm gonna put a time cap on this of 20 minutes. Actually, we'll go with like 15. I feel like if we go past that, we're just gonna be a little bit too smoked. So we'll say 15 minutes is gonna be our cutoff time. Okay, grab one more sip of water and then we're gonna get started. Okay, we're gonna start in 10 seconds. And we start with the 20 lunges. We're gonna start in 3, 2, 1, go. So 20 lunges. And then once you finish those, we go to 20 sit-ups. When you finish your 20 sit-ups, now we do 15 lunges. I'll fix the camera real quick. And when you do this, do try to keep that shin vertical for me. I don't want it reaching out over our toe. The reason we get to rest in between intervals is because I want you to be pushing the pace just a little bit during the work. When you finish your 15 lunges, then we go to our 15 sit-ups. When you finish the 15, now we go for 10 and 10. And you finish your 10th lunge, then we go back for 10 sit-ups. And now we rest for a minute. Grab water during your break. So we take a minute off, and then we're gonna start all over again. So we go 20, 15, 10. That was round 1, we have 2 more to go. Finish around when I finished. We're gonna start in 3, 2, 1. Second round of 20. When you finish your 20, then we'll go to your sit-ups. When you finish the 20s, then we go back to the 15s. When you finish the 15th lunge, then we go to the sit-ups. When you finish the 15s, down to the 10s. Finish the 10 lunges, then we get 10 sit-ups. Then we get a minute off. When you finish, we take a minute off. And we just have one more round of that. For that last round, we don't have anything after, so that's where we can kind of really push and try to finish that as quickly as we can. The legs are starting to feel it a bit, and so are the abs. If you're on my time, then I'm gonna go in about 3, 2, 1, final round, starting with 20 of each. When you finish your 20 lunges, then we go back to 20 sit-ups. When you finish your 20s, we go to our last set of 15s. When you finish your 15 lunges, then we do 15 sit-ups. When we finish the 15, we'll do our last set of 10 and 10. When you finish the 10, then we'll go last 10 sit-ups. Awesome. If you're not done quite yet, I'm gonna give about 1 more minute, and then we'll do some quick stretching before we head out. If you are done, grab some water and take a seat. 1 more minute, those that are still going. If you can, try to get all the way through that last round of 10s. Thirty more seconds. Last 20 seconds. Let's try to get through those 10s of sit-ups. 10 seconds. 5, 3, 2, 1, stop. Okay.